Yeah, conflict has broken out again in Kanaky. It's been an ongoing kind of a rights crisis there for decades. And in fact, obviously, as a nation undergoing colonialism, that always results in a crisis. So the crisis arguably has been ongoing since French tried to annex it, or did actually illegally annex it in the 1800s. And so, for a long time, the French government have oppressed the Kanak people there. And there have been multiple uprisings and political movements. And so they have been on a process of granting independence back to Kanak people in New Caledonia for some time, but they've also been undermining that process for quite some time. They've been scheduled to achieve independence in Kanaky, but there have been multiple things happening. So, for instance, the importing of French citizens, the incentivizing of French citizens in order to, decrease the relative population of Indigenous peoples there, and then also increased militarization and similar to all colonial experiences, policies and legislation that amount to oppression of the people. So, after a long time and a lot of patience and many peaceful protests over the recent months, the Kanak people have moved into civil unrest. And this was warned to the French government that if they weren't listening to them, if they weren't taking action and listening to their many peaceful movements, that it would result in civil unrest. And those warnings have been ignored by the French government. So there's been more French military imported in. Militarization has hyped up. There have been a number killed. The majority killed have been Kanak youth, and it's largely been an uprising of youth who have just said enough is enough. And I think really the breaking point for that was that, there's an agreement that the Kanak peoples and the French government were working on to achieve independence, and that, as I said, was getting undermined. And then President Macron just made the very audacious statement last year that the French government were essentially going to ditch that agreement, throw it out, and draft a new process. And they've made it quite clear through declarations of military and economic strategies that, in fact, they don't and never really had any intention to leave. And so it's just really an enough is enough moment. It's the very human nature response to reach for justice. That's what we're seeing happening in the uprisings. It's a reach for justice. And it's being responded to by even more militarism. Added to that, you have the issue of local French militia, settler militia. So the government has incentivized quite far right nationalist people to move there, ex-military, ex-police, and they have access to, warfare level arms. And so they have also been shooting at using flamethrowers. We're seeing them using flamethrowers on the streets against these youth. They've been extrajudicial detention happening at the hands of the police as well. And more recently, there's footage that's come to light of them restraining and then kicking Kanak in the head until they're unconscious. And over 470 Kanak youth, which have been displaced, taken to other islands into detention centres pending investigation, and some have been moved to France pending investigation. So a lot of human concerns over the human rights abuses that we're seeing coming out. And a lot of this is also, the voice is being constrained. We know that, of course, civil reporting, or the reporting on the ground from the people, is one of the most important ways that we've found out about what's happening on the ground in Gaza. We saw that being really important in Mauna Kea and in Standing Rock as well. And so the French government have banned TikTok. And we see these kinds of things happening where they intend to carry out state violence. So we're increasingly concerned about the deteriorating situation there.